Well, there's one thing in this breaking story you're not going to hear from Donald Trump saying one word about, and that is what is going on in Florida. He had a lot to say less than 30 days ago when he didn't even bother to pay attention to the fact that a governor has a right to request the National Guard. He didn't care. But when it comes to the state of Florida, Trump's all in because Mar-a-Lago, baby. Wait till you see this breaking story I'm going to show you in a few seconds because holy smokes. Let me remind you what's going on in America from some of the top professors on the history of fascism in other places. Take a quick look at this.
I'm a historian of totalitarianism.
I look at fascist rhetoric.
I've been thinking about the sources of the worst kinds of history for a quarter of a century.
Experts say the constitutional crisis is here now.
The Trump administration deporting hundreds of men without a trial.
A massive purge at the FBI to make people afraid of speaking out against him.
I'm leaving to the University of Toronto because I want to do my work without the fear that I will be punished for my words.
The lesson of 1933 is you get out sooner rather than later.
I've spent a lot of time in the last decade trying to prepare people if Trump were elected once, let alone twice.
Look what happened. Is this crazy?
I did not flee Trump, but if people are going to leave the United States or leave American universities, there are reasons for that. One thing you can definitely learn from Russians
is that it's essential to set up centers of resistance in places of relative safety.
We want to make sure that if there is a political crisis in the U.S., that Americans are organized.
We've just gotten started. You haven't even seen anything yet. It's all just kicking in.
My colleagues and friends, they were walking around and saying, we have checks and balances, so let's inhale, checks and balances, exhale, checks and balances. And I thought, my God, we're like people on the Titanic saying our ship can't sink. We've got the best ship, we've got the strongest ship, we've got the biggest ship, our ship can't sink. And what you know as a historian is that there is no such thing as a ship that can't sink.
The golden age of America has only just begun.
Yeah, those are not exactly folks who don't know what they're talking about. And we've heard the term Gitmo, Guantanamo Bay, holding facility, or what it actually has been in the past, a torture facility. We've heard that our entire lives. And in this breaking story, what possibly is being built right now in the state of Florida by Ron DeSantis, as we hear nothing from anyone on the right about it, holy smokes. Alcatraz, alligators, Alligator Alcatraz. Take a look at this.
Joining us right now is Governor Ron DeSantis here in the great state of Florida. You came up with this idea for Alligator Alcatraz. Explain it.
Well, when you want to have deportation of illegal aliens, there's a process the DHS has to go through to vet, to process, and then to stage them for removal.
Right.
And, we've got jails, and our sheriffs and police are working. The state of Florida is all in on President Trump's mission. And obviously you have ICE operations, but that's not enough. And so there needs to be more ability to intake, process, and then deport. So this answers that. This is going to be able to have more than 3,000 illegals can be processed through here. We've got a massive runway right behind us where any of the federal assets that they want to fly these people back to their home country, they can do it one-stop shop.
And we should point out, we're about 50 miles to the west of Miami, right?
We're actually mostly in Collier County, to be honest with you.
I was going to say, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Dade Collier Airport. So this is an airport that we use for training, military. But basically, I would say most of the illegals will likely be ones that are apprehended in Florida. We've got across this country about 750,000 illegals that have already been ordered to be removed by an immigration judge. We've probably got 50,000 or more in Florida. But I'll tell you, this is going to be a force multiplier, and we're really happy to be working with the federal government to satisfy President Trump's mandate. And by Tuesday, this will be able to have intake of illegals.
And people are thinking, okay, you're in the middle of the Everglades, it's hot. That would explain why you've got this bank of air conditioners here.
Yeah, so this is going to be, illegals will come in, they'll be processed. There'll be places for them to be housed. You'll have an ability for food. You'll have an ability for them to consult legal rights if they have that, because there is a process that's involved with this. So this is really everything. This is going to be a self-contained little area. And then, of course, you also have stuff for the staff that work here. So we've got laundry facilities, we've got showers, we've got, obviously, there you see the shower and bath facility. So this is being done by the Division of Emergency Management.
Well, you know, when you think of the imagery of Alcatraz, Alcatraz is surrounded by a bay. Here in the Everglades, you're actually surrounded by gators and pythons.
So this is as secure as it gets. I mean, if a criminal alien were to escape from here somehow, and I don't think they will, you've got nowhere to go. I mean, what are you going to do? Trudge through the swamp and dodge alligators on the way back to 50, 60 miles just to get to civilization? Not going to happen. So not only that is it secure, it also takes this deportation mission out of the hair of our local and state law enforcement. This has no impact on Florida residents because some of that stuff can have an impact on them if it's in more populated areas. And so logistically, this really answers the call. All you need is a little bus to move them, about 2,000 feet that way, then get on a plane and they're gone.
Well, listen, the DHS must love this because they're hurting for facilities, and here you are helping the federal government out.
Yeah, well, I said at the very beginning when President Trump took office, you have to have state and locals on board. You got to be on the team if you want to get the deportation mission done. We're done that better than anybody, but I hope other states will follow suit.
You know, if the president is watching, I'm sure that runway right over there could probably land Air Force One.
An invitation from me. We can land Air Force One right there, no problem. We'll get it done. I think the president would be impressed with what these guys are doing out here.
Yes, that. And let me be clear again. I'm all for legal immigration. I'm all for getting out all of the Canadians and all of the Australians and all of the other folks besides just the brown folks from the South in terms of illegal folks in the United States of America. No problem. But we've already seen, we have to go with what we're seeing with our own eyes. The way Tom Homan and the way the Department of Homeland Security is functioning is not American because they're not utilizing due process. And while Ron DeSantis can say that that's what's going to happen at this facility, we don't know because he made a quick comment of, yep, all I got to do is just drive a bus just about 1,000 feet away and boom, on a plane and out of here. Yeah, quick and easy. And what disturbs me the most about that video is the reporter and DeSantis just doing it with such joy. This is one of those things that could be done that would be a brief news story of America is building a new facility to honor the due process of immigration, illegal immigration, and deportation. But this is almost like a cheerleading rally. That's what it comes across as. And that's my issue. And the reason it comes across as that is that's because it's what it is. That's how damn excited they are. That's why they're going to Home Depots and to people who are mowing lawns and showing up at courts where people are actually going through the process of going to their immigration hearing and snatching folks up along with dozens and dozens and hundreds of people who are actually American citizens. So now we just have another facility in the corner of the United States where that can be done without cameras around. You guys stay frosty.